All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Pediatricians Live Monday. This is the third episode for this year. I am Bimi Salaboide. I'm a pediatrician, and I hope you can all hear me, and I hope you can all see me. Actually, for those on Instagram, I don't know whether I can say increase my volume. All right, good. All right, so welcome to ATP Live Monday. ATP Live Monday is one of the ATP programs where we answer your questions that you may have about your children's health issues. We try to do that in 1 hour. But remember that beyond this live session, if you have any question whatsoever, feel free to go to our Facebook group, Ask the Pediatricians, on Facebook, and you can drop your questions there. We're there from Mondays to Saturdays, 24 hours every day to answer your questions. We have professionals who will answer, supported by our moderators. So feel free to, if you have any child health issues and you are not sure what to do, feel free to post your question on our Facebook group. Of course, if it's something like an emergency, we encourage you to go to the hospital. So emergency and anything that is life-threatening, a child is having difficulty breathing, a child is convulsing, a child has had a serious accident, burns, whatever, those are hospital. But if it's like, okay, things that are not emergency and you're not sure what to do, feel free to post them on our Facebook group and we'll try and answer them within 72 hours. All right, so welcome to ATP Live. Whether you're watching me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, I really, really want to welcome you. And if you are actually one of those watching the broadcast subsequently, I also want to specially welcome you to this program. I can see some people on Instagram. I can't see a lot of people on Facebook yet. So you're going to give me 1 minute to go to Facebook and make sure I pinned all these all the videos so that people can see and they can respond to it. So just give me 1 minute to put it on our. Okay, I think it's already pinned. But I can't seem to see the video itself on Facebook. All right, so but please invite your friends, invite your families, let them join us. And if you have any question, feel free to post your questions now. Okay, I can see myself now. Feel free to post your questions. If you're watching me on the Instagram, just put it in the comment section or in the box. If you're watching me on Facebook, feel free. If you're watching me on our Facebook group, you can just put your question there. If you're watching me on our Facebook page, you can also just put your questions directly on the Facebook page. But if you're watching me on our other Facebook groups like ATP Family, uh, you will have to click on the video so that you will be able to um, put your questions for me to see. But if you are just watching and you don't have any question, that is also fine. You don't need to do anything. So just let me just share to our groups so that everybody can see. I don't know. Just give me 1 minute. And while I'm doing that, please start posting your questions now. Put your questions. One of the things we always do is we're always rushing towards the end. We don't need to rush if all of us can just put our questions at the beginning on time. And when you're putting your questions, please make sure you put the age of the child. As a pediatrician, we really always like to know the age of the child because sometimes the issues that a child has depend on their age, and there are some ages that the same issues but different age, the answers will be completely different. So please always put your the age of the child that you are asking when you're asking your question. Thank you so much. All right, so I think I'll share the videos now. I just need to make sure they are pinned to the featured post so that everybody will see them, because some people are like, oh, I didn't see you. So let's just try and do all that so that everybody can see us and then we can start. I don't know what's happening with Facebook these days. Seems like people don't tend to see on time what is going on, but I hope Facebook will sort that one out easily. All right, okay, so another. So if you're on Facebook, please comment. Let me know you can see me, you can hear me, because I don't seem to see many people on Facebook today, which is very unusual because Facebook tends to be the most popular platform, but somehow it seems these days people are not saying things on Facebook. I know Facebook is going through a lot of their usual bugs and updating, so I guess it's affecting things. All right, I guess I'm done now. Um, all right, so Facebook people, let me know you are there. Let me know you're there. I want to see your comments. Let me be sure you can see me, you can hear me, because I can't see many of you there. All right, okay, just last, let me share now. Okay, share to my story. Okay, yeah, I can see Facebook people now. Yeah, thank you so much. That's good. All right, so let's just share to the pages. No, it's going to give us a lot of problems. All right, I think I'm just going to leave that one for now. Let's just continue. All right. Okay. Yes, I can see you guys. So fine, we're ready to start. Facebook people are still warming up. So I think I'm just going to go to Instagram. I think did I see a question on Instagram already? All right. No. Okay. There are no questions yet. All right. So drop your questions. There are no questions. I can't see any questions. Some people say, oh, you didn't answer my question, but I can't see any right now. All right. So welcome everybody. Welcome to ATP Live. Start dropping your question. I can see those of you on Facebook now. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Facebook user. If you are commenting from our group, I won't see your name unless you give StreamYard the permission. Ayomide Grace, thank you so much for letting me know that you can see me and you can hear me. I was actually wondering whether something is going wrong on Facebook. Okay, confidence, correct. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you so much. For those on Instagram, so welcome. I can see Anulua shows morning. Most of the Instagram names are difficult to pronounce because yeah, not like the typical names of people. All right. So welcome everybody. So let's start. Drop your questions. I'm going to be here for the next 60 minutes. Or now it's actually less than, it's going to be 50 minutes. All right. So drop your questions and then I can answer them. Instagram, I can see your questions. So drop your questions. Okay, there's a question on Facebook now, so we'll start with that. Somebody said, well done, doc. Thank you. So what's the solution for a 2 months old baby with a sweaty palm and feet? Okay, so 2 months old baby, sweaty palm and feet, most time it is the parents causing it because most of us believe that newborn baby should be full, always be clothed. So you see most of us wearing newborn babies, you're wearing them cap, you're wearing them socks, you're wearing them mintings, you're wearing them clothes, you're wearing them, and then you're still wrapping them in shawl. They're going to sweat, obviously, because there's too much. So what I normally tell parents is to dress your baby according to the weather. So dress your baby by the dictation of the weather. So if it is a cold environment, it's a cold day, or you're in a place where the weather is really cold, of course, it makes sense to wear all those extra layers. It makes sense to wear the socks and the caps and all that. But if you're in Nigeria or some place where it is really, really, it's a warm season or hot season, it's really hot, please, it is not written in the constitution that you must wear caps, socks, and mittens for babies. Okay, it is not in the constitution, because somebody was even asking me, my baby is sweating, but they say I must put. No, you don't. It's not written in the constitution that it must be done, and nobody is going to arrest you for doing that. So don't wear caps, socks, and mittens. If a child is sweaty, that tells you that that child, because sweating is a way, is the body mechanism of cooling down. So when you see that you're sweating, or your a baby's hand has sweaty and all that, it shows that the baby is hot and the body is trying to cool down. So it's producing water. And that water, for those of us who remember our physics, is as it dries up, it will take away some of the heat, So that's convection and all that. So that's the way his body's way of cooling down. So if your baby is sweating, it means the baby is hot. So you can help that baby by removing all those extra layers, the carbs, the socks, the mittens. Baby doesn't need it at that time, so remove them. Or if you are covering them in shawl, wearing like 3 levels of clothes or layers of clothes, shed some of them and let just maybe one cotton wear remain. So always be conscious of the weather when you're dressing your baby, and whether they are newborn, it doesn't matter. You don't have to overdress them. Okay, you have to be conscious. Am I in a hot room? Am I in a warm, cool room? And that will guide you in how you dress the baby. So it's not like a sickness. It's most likely something due to the way that baby is being managed. So I hope that is helpful for the Facebook user. All right, I can't see any question on Instagram. Instagram people, you don't have any questions today? All right, okay. So welcome everybody. We don't have any question yet, so I'll continue. So I just want to remind us there's been an updates from the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, in Nigeria, and we're currently having what we call some outbreaks of diphtheria in some parts of the states. One of the things we do on ATP is also to let us know about important things and health issues. So there are diphtheria cases. Diphtheria is a very terrible bacteria. It can cause some respiratory infection, and that respiratory infection, it can cause like blocking of the airway, and people die from it. It's very terrible. Luckily, we have vaccines against diphtheria. It is called diphtheria vaccine, but usually it's always in a combination with either DPT, diphtheria pertussis, and tetanus, or in penta, that is diphtheria pertussis, tetanus, Haemophilus influenza type B, and hepatitis B. So you have all those 5 vaccines. So the bottom line is that if your child has been immunized, your child will be protected against diphtheria. So make sure that 6 weeks, 10 weeks, and 14 weeks immunization, you take it. Some as well, so we take the 6 weeks and we forget the 10 weeks and we forget the 14 weeks. And so it doesn't matter. At least that's taken. No, please, it matters. We are having outbreak because people are not immunized. So some children are not immunized. So please make sure your child is fully immunized against diphtheria. If you are not sure, go grab your immunization card, check whether Penta or DPT is ticked, and there are 3 of them: DPT1, DPT2, DPT3, or Penta 1, Penta 2, Penta 3. Make sure that your child has all those vaccines, and that will keep your child protected against diphtheria. The best thing for vaccine preventable diseases is to take the vaccines. Okay, once the disease has happened, most of them are fatal. They are things that can kill in very short time. So, but there's no reason why any child in this world should die from diphtheria when we have vaccines that are very effective in protecting against diphtheria. So that is just a short reminder. I think I put it in our Facebook group, and if you check the NCDC website, you will also see that information there. Please get your children immunized. Remember, I talked about it also when I was talking about child survival strategies. Immunization is key for protecting our children. All right, let me continue. I have a couple of more questions that I've dropped. Confidence is asking, is it normal for a baby to crawl on a tummy, and also can not assume. So when you're asking question, please always put the age, confidence. I need the age of the child. All right. So the age of the child is very key in your question, and you didn't say the age. So, okay. So children usually can go on the tummy at certain age, but at certain age we expect them to go on the falls, and at certain age we expect them to stand. At certain age we expect them to walk. So we need to know what age. Okay, say a year baby. Okay, I guess you mean a year-old baby. Okay, so for a year-old baby should be crawling properly, not crawling on their tummy, not moving on their tummy. You know, if that's what you meant by crawling on their tummy. So a year-old baby should be crawling properly on all fours. However, crawling is not really a something we use a lot to because some children don't crawl at all and it is normal for them. So we want children to crawl by 9 months, but some children may not crawl until 1 year, which is still okay. But if by 1 year your child is not crawling, we will be worried about it. And also, some children don't crawl, but what they do is that they bottom shuffle. So they use their buttocks to move. They move around, but they use their buttocks to move. They don't go on all four. That is acceptable as well. So the child must be moving either with the buttocks or the child must be crawling, the usual crawling on all fours. But a left 9 months old baby should not just be on the tummy and rolling, which is what you are saying, really, basically. They shouldn't just be rolling. So if your 1 year old baby is not yet crawling properly or not moving with bottom shuffle, not attempting to stand, I will worry about you. And you're also saying that this year-old baby is also not sitting, not assuming a sitting position on her own. Exactly. So the child cannot even get into a sitting position. So a year-old baby should be able to get into a sitting position on their own. They should be able to sit straight with their back straight. They should be able to crawl. They should be able to stand. So I'm assuming this child has developmental delay. So this child needs to see a pediatrician. Okay, we need to know why. Some children are just slow, maybe because they're slow, but some children, that delay is a sign. It's telling us something is wrong. It's telling us, by the time we ask questions, we may know why. Maybe the child has some problems when baby was born, or maybe there are the way the baby looks, like some genetic conditions. We will need to know that. So this child must see a pediatrician. Confidence, I really, really recommend that you see one. Preferably, you may see a pediatric neurologist or a pediatric developmental pediatrician. But some of us in places where we live, we may not have those super specialists, but you can at least see the general pediatrician who can now decide whether to refer your child forward, to other therapies and other. Then, depending on what is causing this developmental delay. So, what I can tell you is that if a child at 1 year cannot sit by themselves, cannot crawl, and all that, there is a problem. That child is delayed in development, and it's something we need to investigate and we need to evaluate. So right, sorry, I missed out the age maybe because the way you wrote a year, so I didn't see it on time. But thank you for making it clear. So please, this child needs to go to the hospital and see a pediatrician. All right, Uswat is asking, can you talk about bilirubin values and reference range? Okay, so talking about values and reference range, it's not something I talk to mothers about. It's not your business as a mother to know what is the reference values for bilirubin and all that. Your own job, what I expect for you as a mother to know is whether your baby has jaundice or not. Your baby's eyes is yellow, you go to the hospital. All right, that is just your own job. It is for me and my colleagues to know what is the level of that jaundice and to decide what to do about it. Okay, which is why it's important that when you go to hospital, you go to hospital that you trust doctors. You preferably for babies, newborn babies, who are the people that were worried about jaundice and bilirubin. Please see a pediatrician. All right, every pediatrician, what's the name pediatrician, will know what to do. All right, so there are level of jaundice or bilirubin levels that we don't do anything. We call them physiological jaundice. All right, so if I tell you all that figures now, you're still going to forget them, or you're going to end up missing them up. So that's why I don't like to discuss that. But if you want to really know that, it's available on our website, on our Facebook, our Ask the Pediatricians website. All right. And it also depends on the age of the baby. So it's not something we can just say this figure and it has to go with the age. For example, I will tell you, we will say bilirubin level of 12 and below is the cutoff. 12 is the cutoff for what we call physiological jaundice. Any jaundice that is above 12 is already high, no matter the age of the child. But if a newborn baby, the baby on the first day of life should not have jaundice at all. So if a newborn baby has a level of jaundice, let's say even 11, that is high because it's a newborn baby. We don't expect that baby to have jaundice at all. So that is why figures can be very it can be it may not help you much because you need a doctor to put that figure in context. So a newborn baby should not have jaundice on the first day of life. Any jaundice on the first day of life, whether it's 5, whether it's 7, whether it's 8, it is what we call pathological jaundice. There's something wrong. We need to fix it. All right. So we use the age of the child and the level of the jaundice to know whether we should worry or not. Also, depending on whether the baby is a preterm baby or a term baby. All right. So there's a level of jaundice in a preterm baby that will worry me. For example, if a baby is 1 kilo and it's having an SB of 12, that is high for that baby. I need to change the baby's blood. But if it's a baby that is about like term baby, 3.5 kilos and above, and maybe I'm seeing the baby on third day or fourth day of life, and me is having an SB of 12, I'm not even going to put under phototherapy. So for you as a mom, don't worry your head about level of jaundice and all that. What you need to do is that if your baby is jaundiced, it's an emergency. People in Nigeria don't realize that jaundice is an emergency. People sometimes will say, oh, let's just do naming ceremony first, and after that we'll go to the hospital. Please, jaundice in newborn babies is an emergency. That is the first thing I'm going to say about jaundice. 2, please don't ever accept treatment for jaundice when the level of the jaundice has not been done. This is the worst mistake ever. So a lot of mothers know that baby is jaundice. They go to a hospital, especially hospitals that are run by medical officers, people that are not specialists. And then your doctor will just say, you go and use ampiclox or just using early morning sunlight without even doing a blood test. That is a terrible, terrible thing to do. So if you are having a baby, and I'm very happy this is a public forum, and that's why I'm really emphasizing this for parents to know what you should expect. So if your baby is jaundice, you go to the hospital, they must take a blood sample. Yes, they must take that blood sample. They must take a blood sample. I know many people don't like to do that, but it is important. We must have a baseline. We must know. And sometimes, even as pediatricians, you cannot always predict. Some babies look so fair, so you won't even know how severe their jaundice is. We try to look, we blanch the skin and all that, but it's not always enough. So we must take a blood sample, or if you are in a place where there is advanced technology, some hospitals, also even in Nigeria, we can do what we call transcutaneous bilirubinometer. We can put something on the skin of the baby, and it will give us an idea of the level of jaundice. And depending on that level, we may decide not to take blood, or we may decide to take blood to confirm it. So, but something must be done to know the level of jaundice. It's not enough to say, oh, it's just small jaundice. Go and be giving ampiclox, go and be giving whatever, glucose water, put under morning sunlight. Those are dangerous approach to jaundice. Jaundice is an emergency, and why jaundice is an emergency? That jaundice can destroy the baby's brain. Okay, a newborn baby's brain is a very delicate organ. It is not fully matured, and so any injury to that brain is going to lead to disability in future. So we're talking about a baby not dying just there. We're also talking about a baby living a life free of disability, and that is why jaundice is so important. So when your baby is jaundice, you must go to the hospital that same day. If you're already in the hospital, fine. If you're out of the hospital, some of us deliver one day, you're already home, please check for jaundice. And if your baby is jaundice, go back to the hospital. When you go back to the hospital, they must take blood sample. Okay, when they take the blood sample, then they can tell you, okay, this is the level of the jaundice. Please don't take blood sample and go home and say we'll come back the following day to collect blood sample. No. I see a lot of that in our general hospitals. Baby has jaundice, they go to the hospital, they take blood, they say, okay, come back tomorrow for the blood sample. No. When your baby has jaundice, they must take that blood. That result must be housed in 1 or 2 hours. We need that result that same day. We need that result within 2 hours. I don't care whichever lab it is, it must be out because we need that result. It's not I'm going home and I'm coming back. All right, you must take that sample, they must take you the result within 2 hours because that result is what's going to help the doctor know that, okay, this jaundice level is low, it's nothing to worry about, go home and relax, but come back in 48 hours because jaundice can go up again, we need to check it again. Or it is a level that I'm admitting you immediately and I'm putting your baby under phototherapy lights. Or it is a level that I need for you to have this baby's blood removed immediately and replaced with a fresh blood. Those are the possible treatment for jaundice. Please, jaundice treatment is not ampiclox. Jaundice treatment is not glucose water. Jaundice treatment is not early morning sunlight. Okay, early morning sunlight is relevant if the level of jaundice is not high. Okay, and we're just using that as a just do nothing fun. Sometimes you don't even have to do anything. So it's so important for us to understand that. A lot of children today have brain injuries, disability, cerebral palsy, because learning disability, because they have severe jaundice that was not properly managed. Okay, so I'm a developmental pediatrician. Those are the kind of children I see. I see them all the time. And all the examples I've given to you, I didn't manufacture them. These are real life examples. These are real life examples from when I was working in Lagos University Teaching Hospitals. People that the baby had jaundice, they didn't go to hospital until 8 days after because they want to do naming. People that they went to hospital, they didn't take blood sample because they felt just it's not mild, it's mild. Go and be giving ampiclox, go and be giving pure water, purple water or glucose water. These are real things that people do. And these, by the time they are coming back to us, the brain is gone. The jaundice has already damaged the brain, and we will have to manage the complications later on. So, but this is avoidable. This is preventable. Jaundice can be treated. Jaundice, no matter what you do, jaundice is going to go down. That is why I always tell people. People think, oh, I just give pure water, purple water, and the jaundice clear. The jaundice will always clear, whether you do anything or not. Jaundice will clear. But the challenge is, as at the time the jaundice is clearing by itself, whether you're purple water or not, as it causes brain damage. So that's the race that we, the pediatricians, are raising against. That this jaundice, we don't want it to go to the high level that it will cause a brain damage. So that is what we are raising against. It's not whether the jaundice is going to come down. Well, no matter what, most jaundice will come down on their own because the body will clear it half. But before it goes, as it causes a brain damage, that is the most important thing we want to avoid. So please, awards, don't worry about the level, but please, if your baby has jaundice, you must see a pediatrician. It's so important. It is an emergency in a newborn baby. I hope that's as clear. It's something that I really want. I'm always very happy to talk about because of that. All right. So about the sweaty feet, despite using socks when it's cold, the feet are still cold after removing socks. Because you were wearing the socks before the baby is cold, or I mean before the baby is sweating, and then the water is going to obviously make the socks to be cold, obviously. And so that is why. So some people definitely can have, some people are more sweaty than the other people, especially if they sweat even when there's no reason to sweat. So that is a different matter entirely. But you have to be sure that you're not wearing, for example, I think that you should stop wearing the socks because you're saying despite using socks during cold, the feet are still cold. So that sounds contradictory. I'm not sure. So if it is cold and you wear socks and the feet are still cold, are you saying the child is sweating in the cold or what? So if you think it's something unusual, you may want to see a pediatrician so that we can assess it properly. I guess I just want to be sure we are on the same page. All right. Somebody said, what's the solution for Ela? Okay, so thank you. I know Ela is a Yoruba word for skin rashes. And unfortunately, it's a word that people use for all kind of skin rashes. Almost every skin rash is Ela. But from the medical point of view, there are different kind of skin rashes. They are not the same. Okay, they are not the same. So don't I don't like parents asking questions using the native diagnosis, okay, because that shows you make your own diagnosis most of the time is wrong. So it's better to describe in your words what you see. Okay, there's the place is looking different. The color is different from the other part of the body. Maybe it's looking whitish or looking yellow, while the other part is black, That makes sense. Or there's something swollen, or there's something like little water on top. Use your own word, but avoid using native label or diagnosis like ELA, like JJJD. Most of those things people use them for many things that are not even related at all. Okay, they use them for all sort of things, and it doesn't. So what a lab means to you may not be what it means to the next person. And so how does a doctor know which one is which? So what we normally do is that we need to see all the rashes. Okay, if your baby has a skin rash, we have to see it. All right. If you're posting our Facebook group, you can put a picture there. We may be able to advise you based on what we see. All right, depending on the cause. So rashes is one thing again that I really need to let people know that there is no one size fits all treatment for rashes. So people will just say, go and use this cream, go and use that one, go and use. I'm not going to mention names, but you all know what you normally recommend for your friends. So stop it. Those of us that do the recommendation, stop it. It's wrong. All right. Because sometimes you are going to cause more harm to the child than what is, and that's why some of you, if you're honest, you always say, well, I use this thing and it gets worse, or it's not better, or it's the same. So we need to see a rash first. We need to know what is the cause of the rash. We need to know where the rash is. And there's some question doctors will ask you that will help us to know what is the likely cause. Even we are not always 100% sure. Sometimes we need to take we have to take some screen scraping and send it to the lab to know what it is. So some rashes are due to infection, and the infection could be bacteria, could be fungal, could be viral, could be many things. Or some rashes are due to allergies. Maybe the child is reacting to the product you're using, the cream or the soap or even the water. Children can react to them. Or some rashes are due to some other skin condition like atopic dermatitis, this kind of skin condition. So you can't just grab any product. And some skin rashes are due to nothing. Like newborn babies, they have all this whitey stuff on their head. We call it milia. Milia, you don't need to do anything to it. It's going to clear by itself. So you really need to know what some. You also have itch rash, which most parents always think all rashes are itch rashes, not necessarily. So you need to know what is causing the rash. We need to know how to address. So there are some rashes we don't do anything. There are some rashes you need a cream. Some rashes you just need for you to stop whatever product you're using on the baby's skin, and that's what clear it. Okay, so those are all things that we need to know. So if your child has skin rash, you have to see a doctor. They have to ask you relevant questions, examine the baby fully. Okay, so that we know whether is it rashes only on the face or is it in the nappy area. All those things give us idea of what will likely cause the rash. Okay, and is this something that started when you start using a particular product or something? Those are the kind of questions we will ask you. Is it a itchy rash or not itchy? Those kind of things. Is it something that comes out when the sun is there and or not? So when they ask all those questions, and they will be able to advise you on the right treatment. So I always say parents, don't self-medicate your rashes or your children's rashes. Just leave it alone. Sometimes just leaving it alone may even be the solution. But if you start using more unnecessary products, you can make things worse for the child. So, and the dermatologist, the skin specialist, by the time they are seeing the child, they have to start all over again. So take the child to the hospital, let them have a proper look, and let them advise you on what to do. And stop taking recommendation from your friends. Go and buy that cream. Go and buy this cream. Stop taking recommendation from their friend. And please do not mix any drug into your baby's skin cream this year. All those people that are putting from bacteria skinny inside your baby's cream, stop it. Please stop. You are damaging the skin of your baby. All right. The baby's skin is the largest organ, is a very sensitive organ. We don't want all sorts of nonsense applied on the baby's skin. So don't mix any cream, medicated kind of cream into your baby's normal skin cream. Okay, don't do that. All right. And if your baby is black, your baby will be black. Your baby is going to be fair, your baby will be fair. It does not to do with the cream you use on the baby's skin. So I want to maintain, you don't need to maintain nothing, all right? Everybody already has a genetic skin um uh inheritance. Okay, so some all babies kind of look fair when they are born because they've not been exposed to sunlight and all that, but immediately within 2-3 weeks, months rather, they will start adapting to their natural skin. So that's not the time for you to start worrying and start looking for one cream to maintain something. No, just leave it alone, okay? And there's nothing wrong with a black skin baby. Black is beautiful. So whether your baby is fair, you don't need to use any special cream. Use normal Uri or Vaseline, your baby will still be fair. Okay, so let's just quickly ship in that while we are on this topic. All right, somebody saying, what is the cause of a baby having a soft spot? There's no cause. The soft spot on the baby's head is normal part of the baby. All right, we call it the anterior fontanelle. So when babies are born, there are some holes in their head. All right, so there's one in the front called anterior fontanelle. There's one at the back. Sometimes you don't even know is there. We call it posterior fontanelle. Then there are also spaces between those bones on the skull. We call them sutures. All right. Now, those spaces are deliberately left there by God because when babies are born, their brain is not yet fully mature. The baby's brain is going to grow bigger. All right. So those O's are there to accommodate that brain growth. So as the brain grows bigger, the head of the baby grows bigger. So that is why the bones must not be fully fused so that they can accommodate that growth, that spacing. All right. So that is why you see doctors, pediatricians, sometimes we are carrying tape rule around our head and neck in the hospital. We are not planning to sew clothes, so we are not tailors or fashion designer, but we're measuring the baby's head because when we measure the head, it tells us that the baby's brain is growing. So the baby's brain growing reassures us that baby's development is fine. If the baby's head is not growing or is small, we start panicking because we are worried about developmental problems. All right. So that space in the baby's head is a normal part of the baby's head. All right. It is not a disease. It is not a problem, or you don't need to fix it. I've explained to you why it is there. So stop thinking it means something is wrong with the baby. Nothing is wrong with the baby, and just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't apply oil. Don't apply cotton wool or all these clothes. Or just leave it alone. The back one sometimes may be closed at the beginning, but may close in 6 months. The front one may not close until like 2 years. It may take up to 2 years for it to be fully closed. And there are always spaces, you will see those spaces. Sometimes some of you, for your baby is not very plump or chubby, you may actually see those lines and all that. There's nothing wrong with them. Just leave it alone. All right. So you don't need to do anything to it. There are normal structures in the baby's head. It can be obvious in babies that are not very chubby. You may actually see all the lines and all that, and that's why when babies lose weight, sometimes when baby are not gaining weight well as newborn babies, you can actually see them very clearly because there's little or no fat covering them. And people now think that, oh, it is because that fontanelle is what is making babies to lose weight. No, all right. The fontanelle is not what is making baby to lose weight. Baby has lost weight. That is why you can see the fontanelle and the suture lines. Okay. And what you need to do is to fix why baby is losing weight. So I've written a very fantastic article on Oka because a lot of Nigerian people believe that Oka, baby has Oka, go and apply something. No, you are mixing it wrong. You're taking it the wrong way. It is because baby is sick or baby has lost weight. That is why you are seeing those changes. It is not the hole or the soft spot that is making the baby to be sick. The soft spot has nothing to do with it at all. The soft spot is a reflection of what is going on. All right. So if your baby is losing weight, your baby is dehydrated, it goes down, it's become obvious. And what we need to do is to fix what is causing the loss of the weight, the failure to thrive. That is what we need to fix. If your baby has meningitis and there's a lot of pressure in the brain, you see it bulging out and it's hard. When you touch it, it's very hard. It's not going down. We call it raised anterior fontanelle. That means there's a pressure in the brain. So what we need to do is go and fix that pressure. So the anterior fontanelle is just a space on this. So it has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't cause any illness. So please, it is not a cause of It is a normal thing, all right? There's nothing causing it. It's not a disease for a baby to have it. I would be more worried if there's no soft spot in your baby's head. Okay, that's what will worry me more. And so just leave it alone. Don't leave it. Don't touch it. Don't leave it alone. For newborn mother, I mean, for I say newborn mothers, for mothers of first time mothers, I have all these kind of issues because those are the kind of things that all the omugo mothers and the grannies and the experienced mother they used to confuse you and make you scared of your life. Please don't listen to them. All right. Get a copy of FTM Companion, First Time Mom Companion. It explain all these things to you. It helps you to understand what's how to take care of your baby on your own. You need nobody to bath your baby. You need nobody to tell you anything. You can do everything by yourself without any experience, and you'll be very comfortable. You'll be fine. Your baby will be fine. So if you send us a message, I will show you how to do all these things so that nobody will come and use to come and confuse you when it comes to the health of your baby. All right. Okay, so I hope I've not missed Instagram people's question. All right, I think today they're just listening, which is fine. Like, keep listening. All right, confidence is asking preterm developmental milestones. So if a baby is born preterm, we normally correct. So preterm babies have two different ages. Okay, they have the normal age according to you to the way you calculate the age for any baby based on the calendar. All right, that is what we call chronological age for their based on the dates of the year they were born. So if a baby is born on the 1st of January 2022, on the 1st of January 2023, that baby is 1 year old. All right, that is normal, and that is what we call chronological age. Now, if a baby was born preterm, all right, let's say baby was born at 28 weeks on the 1st of January 2022, and another baby was born at 38 weeks on the 1st of January 2022. So on the 1st of January 2023, both of them, all of you will say they are 1 year old. That is their chronological age. But for the preterm baby, that baby also have what we call corrected age. So baby was born at 28 weeks, for example. That baby was born 3 months earlier, 12 weeks earlier than the normal 40 weeks or dates, as we normally call it. So for that baby, we have to correct the age of the baby. So whenever you're asking questions about developmental milestone, it's so important for you to always say whether your baby is a preterm baby or not. Because for preterm baby, we need to correct their age. So as of the 1st of January 2023, the chronological age of the baby is still 1 year, but that baby's corrected age will be 1 year minus that 3 months that the baby was born too early. So baby was born 12 weeks early, 3 months, let's just say for ease of calculation. So as at the 1st of January, the baby's chronological age is 1 year or 12 months, but the baby's developmental or corrected age is going to be 9 months. So that baby's corrected age, having subtracted the extra the baby was born too early, will be 9 months. So when we're looking at the child's weight or development, we're going to use the corrected age for that baby. We will not use the chronological age. So why that baby who was born at 38 weeks may be walking at 1 year, we will not expect that corrected preterm baby to be walking at 9 months. So even though the baby is not walking, we're not going to worry. If baby is crawling, we are happy. All right. So because that is the corrected age. So preterm babies, we use the corrected age. Term babies, it doesn't really matter. But all of them has chronological age is the same. But the most important thing is that for preterm baby, always let us know the how early they were born. So when you're asking about preterm baby, you always need to tell us what was the gestational age when baby was born? How many months or weeks was your pregnancy when baby was born? Because the pediatrician has to adjust for that. And that's will guide us in answering your questions. So for your baby, for the baby you mentioned earlier, confidence, which is 1 year old. Now, if your baby was born preterm, you need to tell us how preterm the baby was so that we can also adjust for that. All right, another Facebook user is saying my baby's 2 laps is itching her. It's really disturbing her. I don't know what to rub her. The question is not what to rub her. People, mothers always asking this question. This is happening. What do I give? What do I use? No, that is actually the wrong question to ask all the time. The first question you should be asking is why? What is this? What is wrong? what is wrong, what is causing it. That is what you should know. That is what is going to determine what you're going to apply or rub. So, and no doctor will ever tell you go and rub this based on what you have told us now, because we still don't know what is causing the itching. We don't know why the baby is itching. We don't know what is causing it. So how do I tell you to go and rub something? That will make us babalawo. We are not babalawo. We don't work like that. Okay, we don't do oracles and suddenly know what is wrong. No, we need to see this baby. We need to ask the question: what is making baby to itch? What is causing it? We need to look at it. Then it may just, you may not even need to rub anything. You may need to stop something. That may be the only solution the baby needs, because what is making a 5-month-old baby to itch seriously, and only if it's only the laps, the question is, what are those things only on the laps? Because if it's something that is all over the body, then it will be something you're applying all over the body. But if it's only the laps that is itching, then the question is, what is it that only the laps is exposed to, nothing else? It may be that maybe you're wearing a particular clothes for the baby, some of these rubber clothes or something, maybe it's a nappy you're using, something it may be something like that that the child is reacting to. Because if it is reaction that is from food or others, it must be all over. It won't just be only on the laps. So you have to think about that. Are you wearing too much? Or you wear all these, you use all this cloth nappy, and after wearing the cloth nappy, you wear another layer again of what do you call it? Not like a pants. Some of you are using those rubber-like pants. Some of those children, they are very sensitive to it, and because they sweat and there's no air circulation around that area, then it makes them itchy. So it may just be reviewing what process you're doing and correcting it, and that is all. Some of you don't use nappy cream, like diaper cream, like pseudo cream, like Vaseline, before you even put on the nappies. These are simple things that may just be all you need to do. So everything is not what should I rub. Everything is why is the child itching in the first place? Because it's not normal. Then we have to get to the bottom of that first, and then we can now tell you what to do. Some of the time, there's nothing to apply. It is just changing a practice. It's just doing the right thing, and voila, you have your answer. So, Facebook user, you have your answer now. This kind of question, you may need to see a doctor, because we have to do it back and forth. We need to see the skin and all that. But based on what I said, you may actually start to think yourself, maybe you may have a clue already. If not, you still need to see us one-on-one, and then we can take it up from there. Somebody said my baby's bum is red despite using blue seal on each diaper change. So nappy rashes is not just using blue seal. It's not just using pseudo cream. There are many things that go into nappy rashes. Okay. Number one, you have to change the nappy frequently. This is where most mothers don't get it, because I know economy is supper and all that is there, but you need to change nappies frequently. Some of us will use one nappy from morning till night, and then you now say baby is having skin rash. Baby is going to have skin rash. I mean, it's not rocket science. Baby is going to have skin rashes. So it is not enough to change nappy only when it is poo that are number two. Even when it is number one, you have to change it. All right. So whether I know it's not easy with the cost of economy, living and all that, but it's a reality. So you have to decide: do I want to deal with nappy rashes, or do I want to deal with save money on the nappies? You must change nappies frequently. When it is wet, you must change. Not only when there's a pool. That is number one. Okay. Number two, the nappy itself. So maybe it's actually sensitive to the nappies you use. So there are a lot of diapers that have all these rubber pads and everything. Some babies are sensitive to that, so you may not want to use that. Use the one that is more cotton-like, so that there's some hair circulation and all that. So you must change nappy frequently. You must use the right correct nappies. You must wash your hands when you're doing nappies. Some of you don't do it before and after. You think it doesn't really matter. It matters, because your hands is a source of all these germs and all that. Before you change your nappy, wash your hands, remove the nappy. While I'm still on that, some of the wipes that some of you are using, the babies are allergic to them. So some wipes, they smell so nice. Those are chemicals. Water is best. Okay, use your water and just wash your babies is better. But I know some of us were in places you can't always have your bowl and water and all that. if you are going to use wipe, make sure it's hypoallergenic. So they always write it on it. They will tell you this wipe is more like water, nothing else has been added, no cream, no smelling thing, no chemicals. It is important. These are simple things that can make your baby to have nappy rashes. So the wipes, make sure it's hypoallergenic, or use water. Very easy. Is the best. Use water and soap. Normal soap, or not the soap that has plenty chemicals. The more chemicals you stay away from for babies, the better, because their skins are so sensitive. All right, so make sure you do that. And then uh diaper cream. Okay, Vaseline Blue Seal is good, pseudo cream is good, any of those ones are good, and that's it. So you must do that. But more importantly, also sometimes just have, let the babies be diaper free. Let them not be on diaper 24/7. All right, sometimes just take it out, let some breeze, let it blow that area. Okay, so these are simple things you can do to avoid nappy rashes. All right, that is number one. But no matter what you do, babies can still have infection. That is separate from nappy rashes. Baby can have infection just like they can have infection on any other part of their skin. They can also have infection in the nappy area, bacterial infection, fungal infection. Especially if they have it in other parts, it can actually affect them. Actually, and also if you are not paying attention to, washing hands and all that. Or sometimes the baby themselves, they put their hands in that area from all the hands they used to touch other things, and then they put it in the nappy, so they can be introduced to germs and they can have infection, and that has to be treated. So don't feel like, oh, I'm doing everything right. Why do my baby have nappy rashes? I've explained to you all the possible things. So it is not just about the vaccine. There are so all the other factors. You have to checkpoint all of them as well. And if you know you've done the right thing and your baby start rashes, then maybe that baby just has a skin rash like any other part of the body, which happens to just be in the nappy area, then you have to see the doctors, and then we can take care of it for you. All right. I think, how do I teach my 18 months to use a pool? I guess you mean a potty. Because I guess you are writing it in Yoruba language, pool, which is potty. Okay, so potty training, a child has to be ready first. Not everybody is ready at 18 months. That is number one thing most mothers always don't realize. Not everybody is ready at 18 months. What are the signs that your child is ready for potty training? Number one, the child is walking. The child has to be able to walk to potty. All those mothers that say, oh, say potty training at 6 months because you are putting the child up to sit on the potty. That is not potty training. That is just sitting down. A potty training means the child knows I need to use a pool. I'm able to get to my potty and I'm able to take off my diaper or pants and I'm able to sit on it and I'm able to communicate that to my mom and she's able to wipe me up. That is actually potty training. So make your child to sit on the potty when they can't even walk to the potty, when they can't even take off their pants or anything, when they can't communicate their need to use the potty to you. That is not potty training. Okay. So a lot of Nigerian mothers always say, my baby is always potty training from 6 months. No, that is just overhyping ourselves. So when we say potty training, we mean the child is able to communicate that they need to use the potty. They're able to take off their pants. They're able to walk to the potty. They're able to sit on it. They're able to do their business, and they're able to let you know so that you can wipe them off. That is the complete thing about potty training. So what are the signs? The child is walking, your child is able to communicate. Not every child is talking, but at least they will give you signs that they need to use a potty or that they want to poo, or they will just say potty, or something like that. Then once you see those signs, then you know your child is ready for potty training. Then you devote maybe 2 weeks, because it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get into an habit, so that you have the potty. Please be comfortable having the potty in your living room, in your sitting room, in your bedroom, doesn't really matter. And in a child is able to take off their pants and all that. So sometimes you may start by making them to just sit on the potty. Let them get used to pulling their pants and sit on the potty maybe every 2 or 3 hours, whether they do anything or not. The point is that we want to get them used to going to sit on the potty and knowing that that's the right place. Even if they've done a poo or a wee and not on the potty into the diaper, still let them go and sit on it so that they begin to associate the potty and the poo or the wee going together. So then when you do it like that every few hours, they get into the routine, they begin to understand that. So, and then they know the potty has to be in a place where they can easily access and all that. Some children, if you have a kind of a, there are also If you want them to use the WC straight away, there's a way you can, there are some adaptation that people do these days that you can use. And they you can put it on top of the normal adult one, but they have like a step to it and the children adaptation on it. That's also very good. So if you want to read more, because I won't go into all the details, we have an article on our website about potty training. But the most important thing is the child has to be ready, all right? It has to be ready first. The child is not ready, don't force them. All right, you're just going to get so frustrated. All right, but make sure they are ready and they're able to communicate. Then it will be easy to do. All right, I have a question on Instagram, so let me just answer that quickly before I forget it completely. Oh, is there a question? All right, sorry. Okay, I know maybe it's not a question. I think I saw something on Instagram briefly. All right, I'm almost done. Almost done. Okay, maybe it's not a question. I guess somebody was just asking to join my video. All right, somebody say, oh, okay, this level 3.01, you have to tell me the age of the baby. Well, that's the point I'm telling you. What's the age of this child when the level was 3.0 and 0.8? That's the most important thing we need to know. Though that level is not high, but we need to know, is it a preterm baby or is it a term baby? How old was the baby? How many hours of life was the baby when that question was done? Somebody say, how do I treat my baby or sis who has catarrh, do not feasible? So if your baby does not have mucus coming out from the nose, the baby doesn't have catarrh. So the definition of catarrh, according to us, the doctors, is that baby has a running nose. Something is coming out. There's a mucus. So if your baby doesn't have that, then baby doesn't have catarrh. Let's settle that one. If your baby has making sounds, that is noisy breathing. So parents always get it mixed up, and it causes a lot of confusion because a lot of people say, "Oh, my baby has catarrh. I've been using saline drops, and it's still not there. It's been there." But when you probe further, you realize the baby doesn't even have catarrh. Baby is having some noisy breathing, which mom think, oh, there's something blocking, there's some congestion in the airway, but you can't see any mucus flowing out. You can't see any mucus blocking the airway. That is not catarrh. The catarrh, there's something must come out from the nose. If there's nothing in the nose, it's not catarrh. So the noise you are hearing, we call it noisy breathing. Now, noisy breathing, there are many things that could cause noisy breathing. So we need to hear it. So there's some noisy breathing that is actually normal. I know it's a little bit difficult for parents to appreciate it because the baby's airway, sometimes their airway is not as rigid. It's not like our own that is becoming bony and rigid. So hair is flowing and you can't hear anything. But for babies, when hair goes in, the airway is very flat, it's elastic, it's moving, and sometimes it causes some kind of noise. There's nothing we need to do about that because the hair will get bigger. Some children actually have some problem in the airway, like laryngomalacia and all that can make them have noisy breathing. Some children have obstruction in the airway. So we need to hear this noise, okay? But if there's nothing flowing from the nose, don't call it catarrh. Just say you are hearing some noise and you don't know what it is, so and then let the doctor hear it and then he can advise you what to do. Because once you say you see catarrh is not feasible, then it's not catarrh, it has to be there. So but you need to know what is causing the airway and all that. But more importantly for a 6 week, so just breastfeed them exclusively, keep them warm, they'll be fine. All right. If baby is really very noisy, actually when they are even noisy when they're sleeping and all that, then yes, see us and let us examine the child and then we can tell you what's next to do. All right, Kate Sofiang say, good evening, ma'am. What should I do for my is it 2 years old? Son is having speech delay. Okay, if your 2-year-old has speech delay, you have to see a speech therapist first. Okay, some speech delay are just speech delay. Nothing else, just speech. The child is just a little bit slower. Speech therapy can give you some advice on what to do to improve your children's speech. It's just about playing with the children, communicating with them, and encouraging them to communicate. It's not by forcing them to repeat words, it's just by getting them into that. But there are some things that the speech therapist will assess. They want to assess whether your child actually has. There are some signs we see before children start to talk. Talking is actually the last thing. Parents are always worried about the talking, but we worry more about what we call the play, the preverbal skills. So when I say dog, okay, you don't see DOG. What you see is dog in your brain. All right. So language is symbolic. All right. So every word we use is a symbol of something. So children must be able to do what we call symbolic play, pretend play to understand. So a child should know that using this thing and pretend to make it a microphone. Those are the kind of things we're expecting before the children even start to talk. So if they don't have those skills yet, then they won't be able to recognize that DOG is a dog. All right. So those are the things that the speech therapists are looking for first. And those are the things they try to encourage first before the speech, which is the last part. So if you go to our Facebook group, we have a guide session on the speech milestones. We also have a guide section on how you can promote your child's language development. These are the kind of teaching that the scripture, we start teaching you that, and try and slow down your own language as well. Don't speak 3, 4, 5 words sentence to a child who is not having a single word. You reduce your own word to single word. So the child wants a drink, just say drink, juice, not say, what do you want to drink? What do you want to drink? The child doesn't understand that. Or you give them choices. Do you want water or juice? Water, juice. Let the child point. Let the child make a choice. So those are simple things you will start with first before you start forcing them to repeat what's up to you. But you see a speech therapist, they'll be able to give you some of this advice, able to work with the child. All right. Good afternoon. My baby of 10 weeks, tummy disturbing me a lot, cries a lot, hardly sleeps, sound like colic. He managed to say blah, blah, blah. Okay, he's not on ABA, blah, blah. Give him nan, blah, blah, blah. I will start crying, blah, blah, blah. So every cry in a baby is not hunger. I need to write that in the sky. I think I need to write this in the sky for mothers. Mothers always think babies crying, it has to be food. I give them food, babies still crying. Then what is every cry is no hunger. Baby don't have any other language. The only language they speak is crying. So whether they're happy, they are sad, they are tired, they're sleepy, they're going to cry. So stop getting yourself worried about feeding and crying. That is why many of you don't do exclusive breastfeeding, because you think baby is crying. That means the food is not enough. Go and buy naan. It's okay. You give a naan, finish now. Baby is still crying. It is not naan. It's not the food. The baby has a reason to cry for every reason. And I think your baby most likely has colic. All right. So colic is one of those things that will come to pass. All right. Babies, when you fed them, they are not wet, they are not hot, they are not cold, they just cry and cry and cry. Most of the time it's colic. All right. We don't really know the cause of colic. It's just one of those things that children have. It can be, we think some things like maybe gassy tummy, blah, blah, blah. But most of the time, all you need to do is just comfort them. Comfort them, carry them, sing to them. Some people like white noises, you make noise. Some people like for you to drive them around in your cars. Some people it's like for you to put them on your back and rock them back and forth. Do whatever you have to do it. But the good news, most people will stop having colic by the time they're about 3 months to 4 months, it will stop. So just hang in there. It's a passing phase. If you are really stressed, hand over the baby to your partner, take a break and come back. That is why you have all these mothers come from Mugo so that they can help you with those assets, all that. But most of the time it's a passing phase and it will stop. You don't have to panic. Just know it's something that can happen and it will go away. So I hope you are you are happy. All right. Sorry, I don't understand whatever. It's the same thing. All right, 16-day-old baby. I'm not even worried about jaundice at all. In a 16-day-old baby, why are you still doing jaundice? Like, why are you doing SB in a 16-day-old baby? It's not necessary. All right. Most jaundice would have cleared by 2 weeks. All right. If a baby is having jaundice beyond 2 weeks, it's prolonged jaundice. And jaundice start from SB of 5 milligram and above. That is when we start talking about jaundice. So if your baby doesn't have a jaundice up to 5, it should not show on the skin. It should not show on the eyes at all. So, which is why I'm wondering who is asking you to do a jaundice test. Because if your baby really look jaundice and you've done a test and the SB is coming out as 3, then there's something wrong somewhere. It's either the lab test is wrong, or they are not doing it on the right baby, or the baby is not So baby with SB of less than 5, you are not going to see it on the skin. You're not going to see it on the eyes. So your baby, but then SB of 3 in a 16-day-old baby, we are worried most about jaundice in that first 2 weeks. In fact, the first week, that is when jaundice is a problem. All right. So, and most time by 2 weeks, they've all cleared. whether you even treat or not, the wall clear. So it is only when jaundice is prolonged and that tells us some other thing. There are some conditions that can make jaundice prolonged as well, but not the level of 3. That is not even jaundice level at all. We're not worried about it. So just let the baby be. All right. Olajumoke is saying, my baby have catarrh and always sweats, make it difficult to cover him. Covering a baby is not the treatment for catarrh, okay, because the catarrh is not caused by the covering, it's not caused by the cold. It's a wrong word to use the word cold for catarrh. Unfortunately, that's how we all grew up with it, but it's actually wrong because mothers now think catarrh and all those things because of cold. No, it's an infection, it's a virus that is causing it. So it is not cold weather per se, Yeah, obviously some viruses are more active during cold weather, but that nose running, that cough and all that is actually a viral infection. So it is not because your baby is cold. So when I say keep baby warm, it's if baby is cold. If your baby is already hot and sweaty, please don't wrap them, don't cover them if they have catarrh because you want to keep. No, you're just going to make them sweat unnecessarily. So most cough, catarrh, and all that in children are due to viruses. It's an infection. Most of them don't need any treatment. They will run their course, usually 2 weeks max, and then they will go away. All right. You don't need to do anything about this, and you don't need to overcover the baby. All right. The most important thing is to keep baby away from people that are coughing and having catarrh, to keep baby away from all this smoke, generator fumes, firewood smoke, all the cooking in your kitchen, the frying of oil, all those are things that irritate the airway. Keep baby away from the siblings that are coughing and bringing catarrh from school, or adults that are visiting the baby, want to kiss baby. Stop them doing that. They are the one giving babies all these germs. Breastfeed your baby exclusively so that even when baby is exposed to these germs, baby is able to fight them back. That is why you need to breastfeed exclusively. So those are the things you need to do. But the virus will go away by itself. So it is not because you are not covering the baby or you that the baby is having cough and catarrh. Even if you cover them till tomorrow, you can still have cough and catarrh if they're exposed to germs from people who have it already. All right. Gifted Beauty, can I add dates and dry plantain to 6 months old baby Tom Brown? Okay, you are late to my. So the first thing I shared last week, I think you need to go on our Facebook page. Don't start a 6 month old baby on Tom Brown. I'm not trying to bring down the product of those Tom Brown people, but please, when you are starting a baby on complementary feeding, one of the key principles is that you must start one item at a time. Babies can react to any of those things you've added together. So when you start your baby on a product like Tom Brown that has like 4 or 5 things in them, how do you know which one your baby is reacting to? Some babies are allergic to fish, some babies are allergic to crayfish, some babies are allergic to even the maize or the millet or the wheat or whatever. So when you're starting babies on complementary feeding, you need to do one food item at a time. So by virtue of that, your Tom Brown, whatever, is not the first thing to ever start babies on. I don't know whether it's advertisement or whatever. It's so popular. Everybody Tom Brown, Tom Brown, Tom Brown. It's actually not what you start the baby on. It's wrong. You have to start. Maybe you're going to take pap. Let baby take maize alone. Let's know whether baby is reacting to that. Let's say baby take fish alone. Let's know baby is reacting to that. If your baby does not now react, then you can add it together. That's when it makes sense. All right. So it's very, very important. That is number one. Number two, when you're starting 6 month old baby on food, don't start too many things at the same time. You want to start Tom Brown, you want to add date, you want to add dry plantain. For the baby who is just eating for the first time, solid. No, that is too much. Do one thing at a time and you add gradually. And that is why many of you struggle because babies will reject all these things and then you begin to like, it's not eating, no, it's not eating, no. Sometimes I find that is because most of the time we're doing it wrong. So if you go on our Facebook group, for those of you on our Facebook group, we have a guide session. We have all these videos on how to go about complementary feeding. There's nothing wrong with all these things you've listed about giving your children. Don't get me wrong. The point is that the way you start, you have to be very systematic in your approach. You have to be gentle and don't rush too many things at the same time. For a 6 month old baby, for the very first time they're going to have their complementary feed, I only expect them to eat 1 or 3 spoons. That's all. So how are we going to make 1 or 2 spoons? We are putting plantain, we are putting dates, we are putting. It's too much now. It's too much. So 1 or 2 spoons, because when you start complementary feeding, please, you are not stopping breastfeeding. You are still breastfeeding as much as you're doing. You are only gradually adding other food. That is a key thing. If let's get that first into our brain, that don't just start the baby on so many food as if breastfeeding is over now. All you have to do is eat all this other food. No, you are breastfeeding as much as you're doing before, but you first start with 2 meals. 2 meals, 3 spoons each is fine. Gradually you build it up. So 6 months old baby, I don't expect to all these things. It's too much now. Just a little bit. You can start with something like just your mashed um you know, maybe something mashed potato or mashed yam, whatever, you can have that, or you can do just plain pap. Of course, your breast milk is still there. Of course, you can use something to sweeten it, or you can add your breast milk into it, or you can add other formula and all that. But please be very conscious, be very, very alert to whatever is going into whatever you're making. Because if your baby reacts to any of it, you must know. And that is why when you give food, you give the first spoon, second spoon, third spoon. That is why we say 1 to 3 spoons, because we want you to see. If your baby is going to react, you start seeing rashes, all of then you know what. But if you had too many things at the same time, you will never know what the baby is reacting to. And then if you're giving it too much, you get it. So please do it gently. Once you've tried each of those items before on one, and your baby is not reacting to the hair, you can now add them together. Then you can give the baby, and it's okay. All right. So, but don't rush to all these. You don't need any of those top products. You can use whatever you have in your own kitchen. Really, seriously, you can. And remember, breastfeeding is still continuing, and you're adding it. So after a while, when baby finish 3 spoons, we can make it 5 spoons the next time. Then we can make it 10 spoons. We can make it half a cup. You have to go gradually, keep breastfeeding, and gradually increase the amount of complementary food. Then from 2 meals, we can make it 3. Then we can make it 4. Then we give the snacks in between. So that's how to go about it. The Global Health Media, they've made all these fantastic videos with what we have on our guide session. It's available on YouTube, it's available everywhere. Just look for those videos. They are about 5 to 10 minutes, most of them, but they are very simple. They are made in a local way. You can even watch them in Yoruba or Hausa, and they use. If you watch those videos, you will never see them use any product from the shops. They are using food in your house, because you don't really need to buy anything from the shops. You can use all the food in your house to give, and there's no food your baby cannot eat. That's not the issue. But the issue is that we work with a little at a time. We work with texture. Start with something porridge like, something mashed before you go to full solid. Okay, start with one item, then you add other things gradually to it. So all these little things are what helps. And if you follow that principle, you will not have difficulty with complementary feeding. But if you are trying to do too many things at once, of course the children are going to react and say no. So just do it gently, gently, gently. I hope that's helpful. All right. And your baby is even 5 months old. Okay, no, your baby is 5 months old, and 5 teeth. It's okay. Baby can have five. It's okay, no problem. Baby can be born with teeth. I don't know why people are always worried about teeth. Whether your baby is 5 months and have 5 teeth is fine. So babies are born with their teeth, so it's normal. And some baby may not have any teeth at all until they are 1 year old. So because somebody is going to ask me now, my baby doesn't have any teeth, so it's 1 year old. It's also normal. Everything is a range, okay? And there's no need for you to worry about that. All right, I think somebody is inviting somebody. All right, thank you. My baby will soon finish EBF. What food? So you have to go to do complementary feeding guide. It is not one food. You can see what I just said now. There's no one food that you give and that is it. Complementary feeding, no. Complementary feeding is giving several different kind of food, but you are adding them gradually and on top. You need to understand how to go about complementary food. So there's no one food I'm going to recommend. That is what you start giving your baby. Go to the guide session before you start complementary feeding. I recommend, strongly recommend, that you watch all those feeding videos. Get knowledge first. Because if not, you're going to come back and disturb as a doctor, maybe my baby is not eating. That's going to be the next question. So, but if you have had all the understanding, you go about it the right way, gradually increasing the quantity, the quality, the texture, everything, you'll be so happy and you won't have to come and ask my baby is not eating. Somebody say, I can't hear you. What happened to sound? Ah, can other people hear me? Oh? I hope you can hear me. Is my sound okay? If you can hear me, oh, please let me know. Somebody say they can't hear me. Oh. Somebody should just let me know you can hear me. I've answered that one. Just check on your own hand because I don't think people are complaining they can't hear me. And finally, my baby is dehydrated. Please, man, do babies dehydrate while doing EBF? I, no, not true. If you are breastfeeding exclusively, breast milk is 80% water. Don't let anybody confuse you. All the you must give your baby water, it's a lie. Even in the north, even in the Sahara desert, you should not give your baby water. You should just give baby breast milk. I'm telling you the truth because these are things that scientists have researched, WHO has researched it, and they found out that even in the most, even in the hottest part of the world, when you give your baby breast milk only, your baby will still get enough water and they don't need extra water. And I'm talking of people living even in places where the weather is so hot and it's so dry. Your baby can still get all the water they need from breast milk. So no water, please. No water. When you give water, it is no longer exclusive breastfeeding. Exclusive breastfeeding is breast milk only. Breast milk has 80%. Just do the research yourself. Express your breast milk into a little bottle, a clear bottle, and just leave it standing. Maybe for another, maybe a day or so. Then go and look at it. You will see it separate. I'm not sure you even know what I'm talking about, even the one you normally express and keep in your fridge. You will see the water on top, you will see the milk below. Tell me what is the percentage of the water? It is a lot, 70 to 80% of water. Your baby has enough water in that breast milk. Clean water, no sterile water, no germs. All this extra water you people are giving your baby, some of you are giving them germs, having diarrhea, then you start coming to pediatrician again. So please, breast milk only. I know the mothers and the grandmothers that they are on your case and telling you that how can somebody eat and not drink water? It's a lie. Tell them that breast milk is food and water combined already by God, who knows what he's doing. So there's no need for you to add your own water. For the first 6 months, all breast milk, no water. All right. Thank you. Thank you that you can all hear me. Okay, I think it's the other person that has is your laptop or your phone. All right. So I think we are done here. Thank you for those. For the first time, Instagram people didn't ask any question. That is amazing. But they were so consistent listening because I can see you all there. Thank you so much, Kate, for telling me you can hear me. All right. So thank you so much for watching ATP Live today. I hope you've learned something. Remember that if you still have questions, I'm going now. If you still have questions, you can go to ATP Facebook group and ask your questions there. We're there Mondays to Saturdays, 24 hours daily. Drop your question. We try and answer them. Usually we try to answer them in 72 hours, even though most time within 24 hours, most of them have been answered. But we always give ourselves because some questions have to be answered by a specialist, and some specialists will not come online on time. But if it's an emergency, please go to the hospital. Don't leave emergency questions on our group. It is a like your one kind of platform. It's a platform for just getting advice quickly. It is not an hospital. Sometimes we still have to tell you to go to the hospital. So that is that. Somebody asked a question on Facebook, on Instagram, because I said nobody has asked question. He said, how many mils of Zolax can 3-year-olds take? So your 3-year-old should take 400 milligram of albendazole, that is the warming tablet. So if you're using a tablet, it's 400 milligrams. It can be one tablet or it can be two tablets, depending on the way it is formulated. Then check the syrup. So some of the syrup, they make 400 in 20 mils. Some of them make it 400 in 10 mils. It's very depending on the brand. But I think Zolax is EMSA, and if it's EMSA, I think it's 400 milligram in 20 mils. So you should give the whole 20 mils. If That's the brand you're using, which I think so. All right. So if you still have questions, because we're closing now, go to our Facebook group, ask your questions there. We are there Monday to Saturdays, and you can also watch. I didn't put this one there. You can also follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok, all those platforms. You can learn a lot about your children's health. You can read on our website, www.axpediatricians.com. If you want to see any of our pediatricians one-on-one, then you can book through our WhatsApp number, which I'm sure you can see on the screen or on top of the Instagram. All right. And also, I'm on podcast. Yes, Ask Dr. Bemi ATP podcast. Very lovely podcast. The advantage of the podcast is that it's just specific topics that I talked about, and you can also listen to it on Fresh Waves Radio on Thursdays at 10 a.m. So those are all platforms. Our goal is to make sure that you're all informed, you're all educated, you all know what to do to make sure that our children do not die, because that's our goal, that no child should die from preventable causes. So thank you so much for those of you who have listened, who have watched today. I'll see you again, same time next week, Monday, 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Bye. Bye.